The SuccessDay Podcast. Here we deep dive into people technology, talking to inspiring guests about the future of HR.
In the past, often the CHRO has been seen as someone who had the belief, right? The belief in culture, the belief in people, and to deal with all these challenges. But now, thanks to technology, we have the data, we have the insights, we can make the predictions that can substantiate those insights and beliefs with data.
Welcome back to the SuccessDay Podcast around people technology. I'm here with Thomas Mulder. Thomas, CEO of Archipel Academy, former CHRO, member of the jury of the HR Technology Awards, member of the jury of the CHRO Awards. Quite a list, but please welcome and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to be here. So my name is Thomas. I'm 47 years old. I've been a CHRO or HRD most of my life in the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, also the UK, Germany, in global roles, in local roles. And my last role was CHRO for VodafoneZiggo. And I think it's about a year ago now that the owners, investors in Archipel Academy asked me if I wanted to come and lead their company as a CEO. And I thought, well, those opportunities are rare, so let's jump on it.
Nice. Big difference with your CHRO role, what you're doing now day to day?
Definitely. It's, I would say, a lot more diverse in the sense that on a typical day, you're thinking about finance, marketing, sales, but also the tech roadmap, the platform roadmap, operations, customers, suppliers. So it is in that sense a lot more diverse. And there are many differences. It's cool to set the strategy together with your team, give people direction and coach them. But sometimes it's also a bit lonely, and you also realize that in my team, when things are going well, I'm not involved. They're handling it. So what ends up on my plate is often where there's a problem that needs to be managed. It's super enriching to have the opportunity to do this for a while.
Nice. Let's talk about Archipel in a minute. First, going back to your last role, CHRO of VodafoneZiggo, I think also a tech company. And you had quite some, I know that, you have quite some journey on implementing people technology. I think it was Oracle that you implemented, right? Can you tell a bit about that? And specifically on maybe your selection, how did it went in terms of transformation, and what did you achieve?
Yeah, I think it started because we were a joint venture between Ziggo and Vodafone. And when you smash two large corporates together on a 50-50 basis, basically you have to build everything up from scratch. And the landscape that we had was kind of, everything was stitched together, and it became very unstable. And risky to continue. So we just had to build the whole thing up from scratch again. So the first challenge was to build a proper business case for that. Now, the moment when we had that through, we started to work with a big team of people who are day to day also responsible for managing processes with the tech that we were going to select. So we freed up operational people in the team to contribute to the project and replace them with external people rather than having external people managing the project. And that really brought a lot of context and local knowledge to the team, which worked. I think we made the mistake when we wanted to go for implementation to make it fully agile, take it step by step. So that was a bit of a problem because we really had to course correct and transform the approach more towards waterfall, beginning with the end in mind. I think this was in that stage when Agile was hot, hip and happening, and it was the golden ticket to achieve anything. I really learned the hard way that it isn't.
I can relate to the first, maybe it's the first job I did with SuccessDay was at a construction company, and he wanted to implement success factors fully agile.
Yeah.
And so I know agile, I understand agile, but then I was talking to agile coaches to tell me, yeah, but then we bring live the editors field. I said, yeah, but it's no added value for you have to bring live a module. That's the minimum you should do. You can use elements. So we did the stand-ups, we did the PI planning.
Yeah.
But I always had to say, this is the date we're going live, guys. Otherwise, you never go live.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, and especially with people developing in offshore in India, it's tough. Yeah.
What are you most proud of that specific journey?
Now, at the end, we delivered in time, and we overachieved the business case. So in terms of savings for the organization, employee satisfaction, in that sense, it was a success, and we were able to implement it with minimal business disruption. So in that sense, it was a good transformation, and I think at the end, it was well orchestrated together with the other centers of excellence, looking at reward, looking at talent, succession planning, and so forth, to make sure that the platform, the tooling itself, can really support what we wanted to do in the business from an HR perspective.
Are there any then specific business problems or challenges you solved by doing such a journey?
By this journey, it was really an enabler, I would say. I think the entire people strategy solved a lot of business challenges and was enabling for our business. And I think but you do see that, I think when I started working, tech was a bit niche, then it became strategic, and now it's just foundational and instrumental. So, and that was also the philosophy that we took. So tech is leading. The process that we can enable with technology is leading. And that's what I mean with foundational.
And does it then imply that you embraced tech as part of your people strategy as an enabler, or
yeah. And tech, all HR, IT, and tech also resides within the HR team, so it's super clear who is accountable for that.
Yeah, of course, music to my ears, and I think that's also the only way it will work. If you do tech for the sake of tech, or strategy and then maybe tech that doesn't work, it needs to be in one hand. Totally different question. If you go to the metrics, often with implementations, you get more insight in people metrics. Did you have that at Vodafone as well? And are you using? Were you able to have insight in metrics which you didn't have before?
Yeah. So and this was where the real fun started, of course. So if you really wanted to do predictive analytics on illness absence, on employee churn, throw all the data that you have from different sources into a sandbox and start analyzing that. That's something that you can do once you have got your processes managed in a very tight way and capture all the data in the underlying tech. So you can start doing these analysis. And also in the HR service model, talent management, recruitment, it has been just super powerful. And so when I started working in HR, this was a dream that everybody was talking about. And now we live in an era where it's all possible. So that's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to Archipel. Can you explain it? What does the company do?
Yeah, I think what we see is if we want to keep productivity in Northwest Europe on decent levels with an aging population, with all transformation that's taking place with AI, we need to invest as a society 40% more in development than we have done in the previous decade. So that's substantial. Also in politicians speak more and more about lifelong learning and the importance of that, making sure that we build the right skills for which there is a demand in the market. So that's the challenge that companies have. Employees, people, they realize that they have to work until 68, 70 years old. With all the changes happening in the economy and society, they also realize that they have to continuously develop. Yet what we see is that in the Netherlands alone, there are 33,000 providers of learning and development. So the landscape is very fragmented. It's also, I think, relatively expensive, where a face-to-face training can easily cost you €100 per hour per participant. And also, learning is something that you can do tomorrow. You can always postpone it. People say they want to do it, they find it important, but especially when there is bureaucracy around learning, you decide to do it later. So whilst everybody understands it's important, it's not really happening now. And we are stepping into this space with a platform. And like Booking.com solved this for hotels, and many other platforms solved it. We solve this for learning. So we aggregate all the content of 15,000 providers of learning and development. So it can be online, it can be classroom, it can be anything. Through our platform, where users, so employees of our customers, can go through personalized learning journeys based on their tests, their career aspirations, but also the career paths that have been designed within that company, and be directed super easily to their relevant learning. They can book it straight away, and our customers get one invoice per month for the entire organization. And we give our customers all the learning insights, the data that they need. We manage the quality. We give access to internal training that they may organize and mandatory training, do all the reporting on that. So we really are a partner for the L&D organizations of our customers.
Nice. And if you compare yourself with competition in the market, where do you differ as a company?
I think we differ in, so there are loads of LMSs, right? So, and there are also quite a few e-learning content providers. We differ in a couple of ways. First of all, we don't provide any training ourselves. So we are independent from all training suppliers. So that means that our customers can choose whoever they want to work with. That's one. Second thing is, it's not just a tech company. We also have L&D experts who understand, who know the policies of our customers, and they can give advice to their employees, to their managers. They can organize in companies, etc. So it's also really the L&D expertise and face real life support that we can deliver for our customers. I think that's also a differentiating thing. And the third thing is that we are the largest broker, so we have the most suppliers hooked up to our platform at the moment.
And I can imagine that probably gives some benefit to the customers as well, right? If you're the largest broker, then.
And we can, and this is what we are now starting to play around with, because we can predict the demand. And if you can predict demand, you can source it more effectively, of course, and cost effectively. So this is now, we are now entering that stage where we are doing this and helping our customers delivering their learning journeys more cost effectively.
Quite interesting. If you are also a technology provider, right? What's on your roadmap, without making the competition too wide, but what are the things that you're working on where you are really looking, if this is live, I'm really happy?
Yeah, now the first thing is actually quite basic, because Archipel had a buy and build strategy. So acquired a couple of other LMSs, and we are now rolling that up into one. So that is the biggest most imminent priority that we have right now, and that's going to keep us busy for another 2 or 3 quarters. Then moving on from there, what we see is that learning is going to be hyper personalized. It will be more intertwined with knowledge management within the company that you're working for. And we need to build, I think, the technology to help our customers with that.
Thanks for sharing. Going to the role of the CHRO, right? I think we both have been CHRO,
Yeah.
for me a couple of years back, but what is currently on the plate of the CHRO?
Of course, I think it's super exciting. So there's almost every CHRO has a transformational agenda within their business, because almost every industry is disrupted by AI, by technology. But there are also a lot of societal developments impacting companies and the role of the CHRO. So, for instance, the tight labor market, the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, having a safe work environment, sustainability challenges, obviously, equal pay, well-being. So you see more and more topics. Also, politicians are saying for more and more topics, even mobility and sustainable mobility, companies need to provide solutions for that. Now, on which plate is that ending? On the plate of the CHRO. So it is transformational, more transformational than ever before, from a company business perspective, but also all these external developments and trends also end up on the plate. And we have seen also, for instance, with COVID, who is the one solving it? It's the HR director who is dealing with it. So these are big challenges, and I think that if you look at the composition of an executive team, if you are working as a CHRO alongside maybe supply chain or marketing, if you open up a new plant, you get new production. If you start a marketing campaign, you get more traffic to your site. So it is, you invest here, you get the result there. Often with many of these topics that we just talked about, transformational culture, leadership, but also these topics around the challenges on the labor market, they take longer to get a material impact with lots of more interdependencies. And that's why I think in the past, and now I'm going to make my way to technology, but in the past, often the CHRO has been seen as someone who had the belief, right? The belief in culture, the belief in people, and to deal with all these challenges. But now, thanks to technology, we have the data, we have the insights, we can make the predictions that can substantiate those insights and beliefs with data. And I think that makes the CHRO not only more relevant than ever before as a member of the executive committee, but also more than ever before enabled to deliver and make a strategic impact.
Yeah, I fully agree. In the past, we were doing Excels, and I can still remember when I was 27, I already said, hey, in July we will have a peak in the absenteeism, so let's make sure we have the people from the labor market ready to fill in temporary. But now you can do it really predictively with the technology. Because technology is, of course, what I do, what we do every day, but are there things which you think will always remain without using technology?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
No, I think definitely. So when it comes to, for instance, learning and developing, people have evolved to learn from people, not from screens. And despite the remote working and everything that we do successfully, and it's all very effective and efficient, really developing senior professionals or leaders will require face-to-face activities. Also, developing strong teams, building trust in teams, doing interventions if need be. that's also something that will always be done face to face. So I always said when it involves creativity, complexity, or emotion, it's something that needs to be dealt with face to face.
You're always at the forefront of people technology, and we invited you to be jury member for the HR Technology Awards. Why did you join?
Yeah, because I think the same reason why I'm here today on a cold and rainy day all the way to Eindhoven is because you asked me, and then I have a weak moment and I can't say no. No, the question is, how do you learn? Of course, how do I learn? And also the reason why I've done this, but I also recently became a senior advisor to DataChef, which is an AI transformation company, is because it's so inspiring, fun to do, but also I learn a lot from it, from all the great cases, great people that we get to see. So it's a privilege to do this. It's really, really a privilege. And I should give you wine to thank you for the opportunity.
We both love wine, but we can always share wine. That's,
exactly. Yeah.
Never spill a good wine. And now going to the future of HR or people technology, where do you think it will go in the coming 3 years in the developments?
Yeah, of course. So I think that everybody is talking about this, and all the podcasts will have covered this, I'm sure, is the developments around AI, which are going at an unbelievable pace. So we, as HR professionals, need to learn how to design an organization that consists of agents and people, and think about work processes, communication flows, etc., with a completely different paradigm in mind. I think that's going to be one of the first priorities, that org design. Then second, that requires different set of skills, leadership and culture. And I think the HR professionals need to design programs around that to make that happen. And the third, as I just said, I believe that HR tech is foundational for everything that we do. So we need to tune in the available tech solutions, to those HR policies and cultural transformations to enable it. So those, I would say, are the three priorities for CHROs and their teams in the next 2-3 years.
And who owns AI? If I add to that, who is it? Is it IT that owns AI? Is it people or HR? Or is it a combination?
No, I think that that everyone, and this is also what I'm try to do in my company, so we're not there yet, but we're on it, is that everybody needs to own their AI. So what I would want to achieve is that everybody understands for their role how it may be helped, impacted by AI, and what it would take to develop that capability. So AI is not owned by a person, just as people are not owned by one team or part of the organization. Everybody owns it, but every function in an organization has a real accountability and responsibility with regards to AI. So when it comes to, for instance, data security, legal, of course, also HR and IT, everybody needs to have their own part in the AI transformation roadmap.
Yeah. I see new generations handling this new technology, AI, and the developments quite different than I do. So recently, 2 days ago, I was with my son, 12 years old, making his homework. typing in ChatGPT. I said, you shouldn't do ChatGPT because then you don't learn. I said, no. My teacher cannot explain it properly, so I asked Chat to explain.
Yeah.
Instead of, whoa, that's quite different, right? I also saw somebody on Instagram asking Chat if it's war. Is it war? No, it's not. So we'll come to that. But I think we need to be prepared for also other generations that have that already embedded. And at least I want to have your view. I see some companies where they are risk averse. And where, for example, an IT organization says, hey, this new technology, we don't understand it, so we block everything. Do you see that as well, or and do you see that as a risk for developments in organizations?
I read about it, yeah, and I think it does happen, and I think without applying AI in your organization, you cannot prepare for an AI transformation. So you can't simply shut the door and say, we keep it out. First, we're going to figure out how we want to use it. Because by the time you figured it out, the reality has already moved on. And so you won't be able to progress. So you have to, in a controlled way, let it in and really understand what the risks are. And the risks are not only, of course, in your models that the AI is spitting out the wrong decisions or giving customers the wrong feedback, etc., etc. It really requires critical thinking. And this is also, I think, a development challenge, because people tend to trust whatever the system says. I don't know when this is going to be broadcast, but this morning I read an article about a truck driver who drove his truck on a narrow bridge that was designed for cyclists. And of course, it all collapsed. And what did the truck driver say? It was my navigation system that sent me this way. So, in other words, when it comes to technology, we tend to just follow the instructions technology is giving us, and we tend to trust it completely. Now, the question with your son is, when he types in a question on ChatGPT, is he also thinking critically, am I getting the right answer? Does this make sense?
He probably will not listen to this podcast. I dare to challenge that a bit.
But this is the thing.
Exactly.
And this is, so so to come back to your question, I think we need to create environments in our organizations where we can learn, build the capability, start applying AI. But we need to build the skills, and we need to do it in a controlled way, so that we know that we know what we are doing. And this is why I said, in one of the first of the three challenges for HR in the next 3 years is design that organization where your people and the AI capability work together hand in hand.
Yeah. And I think that hasn't changed. I fully agree with you, but it hasn't changed in technology will not solve all the issues. If you don't think about governance, implementation, change management, doesn't matter if it's AI or in the past, the new ATS system, then it will fail, right? So, if we talk about the current or future state of the labor market, I recently saw Elon Musk saying this time it's really happening. Robotics and AI will change the labor market significantly. We don't need, let's say, the more operational jobs. So that means that a lot of people will lose their job, and as governments, we need to work on basic income. Otherwise, the system will fall apart. What's your view if I ask this question?
So, well, I've spent most of my career in telco. And going back quite some time, we had millions of people around the world working on switchboards. So in the olden days, you picked up your phone at home and you would say, I want to give Bas a call. And then there was a lady, most of the time it was a woman, would then connect you physically and set up the connection. So when these electronic switchboards were introduced, everybody thought, okay, this work is just disappearing. It's going to be a disaster. it has never happened. And with every technological innovation, the same question has come up. And look at these days, the labor market is tighter than ever before, especially in Europe with an aging population. And there are, I think, there is an imbalance on the labor market. So I think AI is a blessing because it frees up resources that we desperately need in industries like healthcare, for instance, but also safety, so police, etc., where we have shortages, where we can now redeploy people. So I am, in that sense, more optimistic, I suppose. But what we need to do is we need to make sure that every individual in this country is given an opportunity to contribute. We have way too many people already today standing on the sideline with a distance to the labor market. And I think it's also our responsibility, also as HR professionals, to make sure that we bridge those gaps and we give them an opportunity to contribute. Now, and does this universal basic income that you referred to help with that? Maybe, yes. Maybe it does. I know people who, because of their personal circumstances, cannot secure a normal job. But thanks to the income they have from a Bajong, for instance, they can contribute in a meaningful way to society. So I think those are definitely things to think about and develop. And I think also as HR professionals, we can step up and contribute to that debate in The Hague or with politicians to see what we can shape together.
Yeah, and even closer by, we can help in that lifelong learning journey. Because I do see that technology will shift things around like it has always done. Some jobs will go away, maybe taxi drivers in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But we still need the people, and people need purpose. So thanks.
Absolutely. And together with, as Archipel, we are working together with several regions, geographies in the Netherlands, where we provide opportunities for people with a distance to the labor market to develop the skills that are in demand. So also in this region, for instance, where we are right now in Eindhoven, everybody's talking about tech, of course, but there is a massive shortage in logistical resources. So our platform, especially for this region, make sure that people can follow the right training and get them the right certifications to start working in that industry. Now, developing those skills at scale, redeploying these people to fill shortages on the labor market, that's, I think, something that we need to become good at to make sure we keep the productivity in the economy here at a decent level.
Yeah. You have led quite some transformations in your life as CHRO. In retrospect, what have you learned? What would you do differently next time?
Yeah, it's been just an amazing roller coaster and a privilege to be involved in all those transformations. And I think now that I've stepped away from it, reflecting on it from the sideline, more also what the challenges are that are keeping CHROs awake. I would probably go more all in when it comes to transformations. So I think that I have translated my uncertainty about things, about whether it was the agile transformation, the data transformation, or the AI transformation. I've translated my uncertainty, and also that I thought I don't know exactly how things are going to play out, into kind of a caution, and say maybe we'll start small or do it more incremental.
So evolution instead of revolution.
More evolution, and do that with courage and communicate a lot about it, but still kind of evolution. I think if I had a chance to do it again, I would be probably even more forceful and think, okay, let's go all in, and we can always course correct if we need to. And I think that the pace of change is going so high at the moment that's what you need to do. So that was one of my reflections.
Next to that, you've been CHRO, and now you're tasting to the life of CEO.
Yeah.
What would you do different if the next role would be CHRO again?
Yeah, it's very awkward because I've been working hand in glove with the CEOs throughout my career. So I've always been very close to them. But it just having the experience of know what it really feels to be the last man in line who is gonna come down to take the decisions. That feeling, knowing what that is, really gives me an even more deeper understanding of the challenges and the pressures that CEOs can be facing and how you can support them from an HR perspective. I think I would do that differently, and I think I've always been kind of a business-driven CHRO, so that's where I focused my education and so forth. But understanding a tech roadmap and translating that into a people impact is different than having had that responsibility for it. So it goes. So I'm going way more granular in detail into tech, into finance, into marketing, and that is what I would definitely do even more of if I were to be a CHRO again tomorrow.
And this is a part I think you can only learn partly in an MBA, right? So in the end, we maybe should think about job rotation for CHROs and CEOs.
I think, there was actually another piece of research indicating that the CHRO in teams has probably the best traits to be a successful CHRO, has the best traits to be a successful CEO. If you look at what it takes to do that. I've spoken to more people who have done these business roles and moved back into CHRO roles. Chani Berks, for instance, but also Caroline from KPMG. It's super enriching, and I definitely recommend. But the other way around is difficult. I think that the HR profession is a real profession that you really need. It really takes time to become a solid HR professional, I think.
Thanks for sharing, Thomas. Thanks for being here. If you want to know more about the SuccessDay podcast, follow our socials.